to the cloud. There we go. Okay, yeah, make sure we've got everything off. No notifications, nothing that's going to come and disturb us. As I said, you're going to be having more conversations with each other today than with me. So I'll put you in your breakouts. Once you've kind of turned everything off, again, if there's if you need to brain dump anything, if there's anything that you need to get out of your heads onto paper, you can pick it up again later if you so wish. But if not for now, you can just completely let it go. That's also perfectly okay for you to do. And then when you're ready, let us get ourselves comfortable. Get ourselves where we need to go. I've just said switch everything off, haven't I? I've got myself on a different screen wearing this exact same jumper, and I've just scared the crap out of myself because I was like, why am I there and not here? And it's because I'm here. Look, I'm going to have to show you this one because here I am on my other screen. Hello, it's just that just sorry, that just really scared me. So that's my next YouTube video. No, I was like, I haven't got my hair like that today. It freaked me
And
out a little bit.
Frozen.
Anyway, yeah, but I was it freaked me out because I haven't even got my hair like that today. But there we go. Okay. So when you've stopped freaking yourself out with whatever you may have on a different screen, give yourself what you need. I'm definitely picking up tension today. That might be some of the headaches and some of the stuff that some of you are feeling, but just give some space or some quiet or some calm. Give yourself just a moment. Let's just land. Let's arrive. Let's roll shoulders back if we need to. Okay, I'm distracting myself with all sorts of stuff. It's not my screen. Have I recommended to any of you the Nervous System Reset book? No. I'll show you that one in a minute then, because I've just put some of that on my shelf as well. Okay, so when we've arrived, let's take our breaths. So feet nice and flat on the ground. I think we need to let's take some longer breaths today. So either closing your eyes, softening your gaze, or just looking at a fixed point in time. Let's allow your sit bones to land on wherever it is that you're sitting. Feet flat on the ground if that works for you today. Let's get back up nice and straight. We'll take our 3 breaths in and out through the nose. Once we've done that, just bring your breathing back to your own pace. But just keep your focus. So either eyes closed, soften gaze where it needs to be this morning. Maybe let's just sit with ourselves for a little bit longer before we get into today's session. So in your own time, your own pace, let's take our 3 breaths, but then stay here. Once you've done your 3, as I said, just stay there. We're just going to keep our focus on this for a moment. So let's just keep turning our attention inwards, just focusing on the breath. And if attention is feeling scattered today, or it feels like thoughts are racing or wandering, maybe a little mantra for just for now, just for a moment or so. But on the in breath, I am aware that I am breathing in. And on the out breath, I am aware that I'm breathing out. I'm aware that I'm breathing in. I am aware that I'm breathing out. Continuing that little mantra if that helps for you. If not, again, just focusing on the breath. Let's stay here for a little while longer. So if you can, back up nice and straight. Neck nice and straight. Let's ensure that we've got the neck balancing nicely, or the head rather, balancing nicely on top of the neck, which is balancing nicely on top of the spine. And then if you can, just very, very gently start to bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. Don't bring the shoulder up to the ear, but bring the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Take a moment there, we'll take a breath there. I'm aware that I'm breathing in, and I'm aware that I'm breathing out. And then gently bring the head back up to center. Let's take that to the other side. So let's allow our right ear to come towards our right shoulder in the direction of. Nothing needs to be touching. Let's just allow that to move. And the same again. I'm aware that I'm breathing in, and I'm aware that I'm breathing out. Gently bring the head back up to center. And then very slowly, let's allow the chin to come down towards the chest. So let's just allow a stretch down the back of the neck. Let's gently allow the chin to come down towards the chest. Again, we're not dropping the shoulders. Keep the shoulders nice and open. Keep them back. We're not hunching them. We're not bringing them up. Let's just allow a stretch down the back of the neck. Take a breath or two here. Bring the head back up to center. And then guiding again from the chin, we're going to take the chin up towards the ceiling. We're not going to allow the neck to drop back. We want the neck to stay fully supported. But let's just allow a little bit of space at the front of the neck. Take the neck back, take the chin up towards the ceiling. Again, as high as it will go. We don't have to be looking as high as the ceiling. We could just keep our gaze or attention on the wall. We can still keep our eyes closed. Let's just take a breath or two here. Let's then bring the head back down to center. Continuing again, let's just stay here for a moment or two longer. Let's then take our attention, our gaze, and whether our eyes are open or closed, but let's just take that gaze towards our left shoulder. So we're just going to take a breath. It might go to the left shoulder, it might not reach that far, it might go over the left shoulder. Let's just allow that bit of stretch again there. A breath or two here. Again, I'm aware that I'm breathing in, and I'm aware that I'm breathing out. Let's come back to center. Let's take that on the other side. So again, take your head and or your gaze over towards your right shoulder. Might not reach the shoulder, it might go past the shoulder. Let's take a breath or two. Let's bring it back to center. And give yourself again what you need. If you need to roll shoulders, roll shoulders. If you need to lift arms up, lift arms up. If you need a bit more movement within the neck, allow yourself to give yourself whatever it is that you need. And then slowly, let's just bring some gentle movements into the arms, the fingers, the shoulders. Back into the neck. Let's bring our focus back. Let's open the eyes if we have had them closed. And let's get ready for today's session, as present as we can fully be. Okay? Perfect. Okie dokes. Sarah, I'm going to come to you first. Is there anything you would like to ask or share? Do you have any questions? Do you have any reflections? Do you have anything that's maybe come up for you over the last couple of weeks that you'd like to share? Anything that you'd like any clarity on?
No, but just on the case study last week, um, just reflecting on that and what this, I can't remember who said it, it was you or somebody else about are we colluding in their avoidance for that? And the more I thought about that, the more I thought I could see myself doing that quite a bit. Do you know, not wanting to, not all the time, but not wanting to push them too far. So keep them going at their pace. And I was just wondering, well, when would you know the person was safe enough to move in that right direction? That was a kind of worry for me. You're not going to tip them over the edge, they don't come back. That was
Okay.
just
Okay, which we'll come to. Let's go with, so let's take that back a step though, where you said that you might be you might actually be colluding with them. Tell me, did anything come up for you in terms of reflections as to why you think you may be colluding with anybody in those
um,
sessions in the first place? Let's start there.
no, I just think it's easy to get because it's client led and you're following their lead on that, and you're not being very conscious not to follow your structure or your plan that you thought might what might be said and what might not be said. But you know that it needs to be, you need to address the elephant in the room. And it's knowing how safe to feel as a coach to do that. And when you're dealing with burnout,
Yeah.
that so yeah, and I would just so it just made me think about it a wee bit more. Whereas
Okay.
before, I would probably have just launched in before I'd done this training, just to like, what the hell's up with you? Do you know? I'm guessing, but that's wrong to do that, and I know it's wrong to do that. So what's the right way? That's just made me think about it a wee bit more.
Yeah, okay. Well, good reflection, and thank you for sharing. So again, I think there are a few things there. You will when it comes to the session, you're going to know whether to push or not push, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just because it is client led doesn't mean it's just a nice friendly chat and we're just kind of tell me about your weekend, and that's kind of where we go with it, right? We still want to be moving the client forward. But when
Mm-hmm.
we say what we're talking about is client led, it is they are bringing the stuff to the session, right? But they're paying us as their coach to move them forward and or to move them away from burnout, right? We are the expert in the room. We are the one that is holding the space. Intuitively, I just believe that you will know when to happen. But that said, what we can do is you can ask the question, right? If it feels like the right question to ask, or it feels like the right technique to be using, you ask that question.
Okay.
You will see if the client tenses, right? If you ask me a question and my shoulders all of a sudden, I start wearing my shoulders as earrings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then my body is saying, not a safe space,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what you might do then is again reflect back, right? So Kelly, I'm noticing that as I said that, it looked as though there was some tension within the body, right? What came up for you as I asked that question?
Mm-hmm.
And I can say, like, Sarah, I'm just not ready. Like, I can't explain what it is. I just hated it, right? Or it just made me feel really uncomfortable, or it's this or it's that. So we might not necessarily go forward with the exact question that you've asked, but
Mm-hmm.
we might explore what was it that came up for me, right? If you literally saw me tense, the coaching might shift around where's that tension coming from,
Mm-hmm.
right? How could we move that? It might also be, you might see me tense and we might go with the question anyway. But if at the, and again, it's kind of, some of you will have experienced this with me already, right? It's, there are moments in coaching, particularly if you coach with me, that we might need to release some emotion, shall we say, right? We might need to go into ugly crying mode, okay? Now, for me as a coach, there might be, is it right to push into that? Not so much push, but is it right that that's the direction that we go in? Or does this not feel like the safe space to allow that to happen for the client? Okay. So again, what we can do, and next week I'm going to take you through some more techniques again to get people out of their heads and into their bodies more. So we can you start to use some of those techniques, but we can at any point within the coaching, we can come back to creating a point of safety. And the way in which we do that is we bring the client back into their body. So just as we started today's session, it might be that we go into more breathing techniques. It might be if you're using, I don't know, Michelle might use Lego in a coaching session, for example, right? So it might be, let's take the attention away from that question. Let's just play with some Lego for 15 minutes, right? It
Mhm.
could be, using some of those different tools. And primarily, if we feel that that challenge is going to be too much, ideally, what we want to be doing is getting them out of their head and back into their body. We're never going to get it right 100% of the time. Never going to get it right 100% of the time because we're human. Not because we don't know what we're doing, not because we don't know the questions, not because we don't know the environment or any of that kind of stuff, but because we are human. And
Mhm.
again, we know that sometimes our clients will still be brilliant at masking or brilliant at performing or brilliant at hiding the stuff that they don't want to talk about or they don't want to go there or any of that kind of stuff. And so again, if we are going with that, we can decide whether we stick with that or not. But I suppose my key is I'm kind of going around the houses a bit with this, but I think the key really, Sarah, is ask the question,
Mhm.
and if there are signs within the room that then say this is unsafe, that's when you pull it back.
Bye.
But don't be
Okay.
afraid to ask the question or move people forward in the first place.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Does that
Okay.
help?
Yes, I've been overthinking that, I think.
Yeah. Again, right, and again, like you and you know it. And I suppose again, I think, and maybe potentially for you, right? I think this is probably quite an interesting one anyway. You know that you have experienced your own burnout. You know that there is still lots of life in general going on, right? But again, there is a part of you that is a let's just get shit done person, right? Let's just get to it, let's get it moving, let's get it done. And I think that's fundamentally that's you, right? That's how you want to be moving stuff forward. So yes, it's natural that that would be your coaching, right? Let's just get to it, let's get to the point, let's keep doing what it is that we need to do. And at the same time, and again, if we think about your state, yourself, how you're coming to the coaching, and I'm exactly right. Some of you may have noticed, but I'm also a bit of a let's get shit done person, right? It takes a lot for me to really be able to hold space in session. A lot for me to be able to hold space in session. If it is a pure coaching session, again, that takes a lot of energy and a lot of focus in order for me to be able to hold that amount of space for people. And that's where, again, it's really important that we are ready for that session. Because whilst we might let's just get on with it, or I haven't got time for this shit, let's just keep on going. A lot of our clients are not going to be there, more so when burnout is in the room. If they are a high performer with full capacity, coming to you completely calm, by all means, run
Mhm.
with it, get done what you need to do, let's get them going, let's get them on the path. But if we suspect at any point that burnout is in that room or that it's showing or that we need to slow down, we definitely need to start with that safety anyway. But again, we can always pull it back to safety, always. Even if we have to do it 6 times a session, we can always come back to the point of safety.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anything else, Sarah, that's been coming up for you? Anything you want to ask?
Not just now, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. David, is there anything that you would like to ask or share or reflect? Anything that's come up for you over the last week or so?
I just have a bad conscience that I didn't share my feedback with you yet, but otherwise it's okay.
David, you're absolutely fine. Bless you. No, don't worry at all. Don't worry at all. David said he's giving me feedback on my paper, is what David is doing. I think, how many times have you read it now, David?
85.
Just twice, just twice. There we go. That's fine. Thank you very much. Whenever I receive it, David, it will be gratefully received. Thank you. And I think, as I said to you, there've been some tweaks anyway. I think once I'd and I said I would do, didn't I? I kind of once I'd shared it, and then I was like, oh my god. So I went through it with my own supervisor. So there have been some slight changes that have been made to it already, but that's that. But anything else from you, David? Like, okay. Coaching sessions going okay? Still coaching? Still going okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, nothing open at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Michelle Hartley, anything that you would
Hello.
like to ask or share or reflect?
I feel like I have fallen off the wagon with my reflections, and I feel sad about that. But I don't seem to have a reflective bone in me at the moment, which is a bit weird. So I feel like I was going from like surface level reflections to then like, oh my God, I'm reflecting the shit out of this, and I've got 8 pages of reflective notes to now like nothing. I got nothing, and I don't know. I don't really know why, and I don't really know how to poke myself back in it. I know that you sent us some questions before, and none of them like awoke the reflection beast. So I don't know. I don't know. I even need an answer. I'm just putting it out there. I've lost my way with reflection lately. I don't know why.
Okay. So there will be something in there for you. I wonder if, and I'm just wondering if this could be anything to do with it, Michelle Hartley, but whether you are allowing yourself the time after the sessions to do the reflections, or whether you are filling your days maybe with other appointments after sessions, and then you don't allow the reflection time. And therefore, when it comes to the reflection time, you haven't got the reflection time. Just
Wait a
putting
minute. Wait a minute. You don't
just
get to
putting
use our
that out
friendship.
there.
You can't use our friendship against me.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I
I
sometimes do
suppose,
have
I suppose it's
appointments
coming
on
back to,
Mondays.
say again.
I do sometimes have appointments on Mondays at like 3:30, for example. Um, I don't know. I just seem to have lost the love.
So I suppose there's a couple of things. And when you were, so I'm trying to think how to kind of word it. You had definitely, and you've just said yourself, right? So you started with some of those superficial reflections, then you'd
Yeah.
got kind of really deep with it. And I wonder if subconsciously or consciously there is an expectation now that all of the reflections need to be hugely deep and 8 or 10 or 50 pages every single time that you do them. And actually, sometimes they don't. It can just be, this was a light bulb moment. Didn't get it, did enjoy it, really liked it. This is where we go with it. That can be as deep as the reflections need to be. If some of the deeper stuff needs to come, I'm sure that will come and you get it written down. But maybe there is a pressure of,
Mm.
I know, because I've now, and I suppose again it's that, I don't know if any of you have ever had this. I and I chased it forever, and then of course completely lost it completely, and I've still never ever had it back. I can remember having a moment of meditation once where, like, initially when I first started meditating, I assumed that meditation was to shut your head off, right? I think that's what I'd kind of been led to believe that meditation was. And so every time I'd sit to meditate, all I'd get was my to-do list, or all of the stuff that I needed to do, or more ideas of stuff, or more this, or more that, or more that. I thought, I can't meditate, right? Because this is not what it's supposed to be. Meditation is supposed to be like completely zen, quiet mind. You're just supposed to allow stuff to happen, right? That's genuinely where I thought that's what meditation needed to look like. And then I realized actually that wasn't it at all. Meditation was sitting quietly, and even if you just want to sit and breathe and focus on your breathing for 10 minutes, right? That, or 2 minutes, right? That can class as meditation. But I had one moment during a meditation once where I literally, and it was like a fleeting moment because I caught it and then of course started wanting to chase it again. But I had this fleeting moment of, oh my God, I've just had a moment of nothingness in my meditation. And then I spent months trying to chase that moment of nothingness again. And because I didn't get that moment of nothingness again, I stopped meditating for ages and should not have started meditating, because actually that was one of the things that grounded me more than anything in the entire world. But because I couldn't get that second of nothingness back, I stopped it. And I think sometimes, again, we can put so much pressure on ourselves for the outcome that we just stop doing the process.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And
A
yeah, I
reflection
probably
can
am
be, yeah. And
putting too
even
high
sometimes,
standards on
like if
it.
you message me after the session, you're like, oh, I really enjoyed today's session. That could be that reflection.
Yeah.
If it needs to be 8 pages, 8 pages will come. If it doesn't need to be 8 pages, it could just be I enjoyed today's session, or I didn't enjoy today's session, or this was a bit, I didn't like it, did like this, didn't like this, did like this, did like this. The biggest thing is to start it
Mm.
and see what comes. Again, more so I think particularly for a portfolio perspective, excuse me, making sure that you're doing your reflections after your coaching.
Yeah.
The learning reflections may come back to you as you kind of, I don't know, maybe do a kind of quick refresh of what did we talk about that week. Oh, actually, yeah, I really enjoyed that. That might prompt some of the learning stuff, but if you can just keep on going with the coaching reflection stuff.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm quite consistent with that. It's like the post-sessiony ones that I just seem to have lost the love
Yeah,
with. So
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
thank you.
But it might also be allowing this, and again, this, and I always say this to coaching clients, right? At the end of the session, always allow yourself between like an hour or like even half an hour after the session. Because if you come straight out of coaching and straight into the next meeting, or you come straight out of coaching and straight into your emails, or straight out of coaching and into the thing, actually that's when you can lose the reflective time. That doesn't
Mm.
mean stuff might not come up at 10 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock the next morning if it, if that reflective stuff needs to come up. But again, just sometimes that space.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Oh,
Okay. Thank you all very much. Sean, my lovely, anything for you today? Anything you want to ask or share?
Yeah, so over the weekend I went to an event for doulas, and they were all really amazing. We had some amazing speakers and I made some contacts and stuff. There's some people from midwifery and stuff like that. And it was really interesting because there was an incident that took place there between some of the participants, and it's right towards the end about all the stuff that they'd learned. It was all inspirational, and they were all being curious, and they were using this really nice language. But in real time, to watch this one individual giving their reflections, and then for somebody to come over and take the mic off them and say, "Well, I'm going to deal with this." And actually, it was really shocking and really disgusting. And it just kind of reminded me about two things: how when we're at events and when we're at learning, how every individual learns differently, and the landing will land differently.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really considered, and how in that moment they literally isolated and shamed this individual. And I think everyone was off guard. So, but then I went over and I spoke to the lady just to make sure she was okay. And then I went over to right towards the end and I spoke to the lady who had organized it all. And it just made me realize that when we think that we're safe in environments that are driven by, things like that, we're actually not. And it was really shocking, and it just kind of made me realize how important safety is,
Mm.
and the framework that needs to be put in place. So that was one thing. And then, and it just made me, I then just, realize how much I appreciate and value the space that we have with you. And there's so many people out there trying to carve this space, but there isn't this space really out there. That was one thing. Then the other thing I found out, apparently, the think tank for NHS, apparently they're looking to reduce sick pay for staff. And it was like, well, do you know really what that's going to lead to? That's going to lead to more burnout and more
Yeah.
presenteeism.
Yeah.
And when we talk about, resourcing individuals, and we talk about, the internal resourcing in terms of, tools and techniques and etc. But the word resourcing is so expansive in that they're literally being stripped of everything, and they're comparing them to the private sector. But the private sector are differently resourced.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of just kind of made me realize that there'll be more work coming our way. And then the final thing was I did my coaching session with one of my clients, who's actually a friend as well, and it was interesting to watch her language of how she was intellectualizing burnout, and she was using the word mindsets and discipline and things like that. And I had to really, and this was somebody who does a lot of kind of spiritual work and stuff, and but how we all start there and intellectualizing, oh, I've got to do this, this, and this, and basic rest is seen as a hack.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, you know, I hadn't realized. Then I had to bring her back into her body. But then we eventually, I said, you know, well, what would you like to focus on today? And she was looking at strategy. And then one of my things was, have I gone in too soon to support her with looking at rest? Because she was looking to shift her rest patterns and things. She seemed fine to move on to that topic. And I thought if we can work on this and she can actually spend more time in restoring herself, then that would work. But I don't know if I'd moved into strategy too quickly because it was only session 2. But she wanted to focus on it. She seemed okay from the first session.
Yeah.
But I thought it was moving her towards her well-being
Yeah.
and focusing on rest. So that was just one question I had really.
Okay. So let's start with coaching, then we'll do NHS, and then we'll your doula event. I'm just other than losing the will with that one, Sian. Right, coaching for, and I've actually, is that the video I was just editing? Maybe that's the video I was just editing, which is why it's so peace of mind. So I will share it with you when I've put it live. Fundamentally, for lots of us, so let's start with the intellectualization of burnout in the first place. We think, again, come back my glass ball definition, right? Okay, hippocampus, hypothalamus, amygdala. All of those things primarily are looking for, so we've got fight, flight response, we've got previous patterns and behaviors, and then we've got our chemical responses, okay? Our brains really fire in binary, right? Yes, no, up, down, left, right. That's how our brains think. If there is any kind of indecision, our brains can't process that. Our brains want left, right. We need decision, okay? So when people start to intellectualize burnout, that really is in some ways then trying to take control of their thought. Again, we come back to circles of control, right? That intellectualization of it is, I can control this part of it, right? I can control what I think I know about it. I can control what I've read about it. I can tell you what is going on within my body because of what I'm feeling. Okay. Now, and this is why I think for lots of people will intellectualize it based on a lived experience and then say, well, I can coach this stuff now, right? Because I know it, because I've read this book and I've read this blog and that told me what I needed to. Therefore, I've now got enough information to go and coach this stuff because we have intellectualized it. But what we haven't done is we haven't healed and we haven't recovered and we haven't created that safety and we haven't done any of those sorts of things that we need to do in order for part of that recovery. So I think it's very common that clients will intellectualize it and come to the session and say to you, Sian, this is what's happening. I've got this, and this. This is what recovery looks like. This is what's been happening to me. This is where I've been going. Because the brain is searching for answers. And so, of course, we go looking for those answers. So that in itself is not going to be uncommon. Around the part of the rest, and I've had this question quite a lot with a few people that I've been working with in terms of kind of supervision stuff. There is a real, and like I said, where I started, there is a video that I've done that talks about what it is that we need to do from a rest perspective, and we will cover that more when we get onto more of the nervous system work anyway. But again, fundamentally, what we're looking for, the rest is what can start to feel unsafe. So even though I know I need more rest, if I have been running at 10,000 miles an hour for 25 years, and then it's like I need more rest, the rest from an intellectual perspective will feel like the right thing to do.
Okay.
But sometimes when I start to rest, it will begin to feel unsafe. And the reason it will begin to feel unsafe is because my body and my brain are not used to rest. My body and my brain are used to rushing at 25,000 miles an hour, doing 25,000 things, moving forward. Intellectually, I need more rest. But when I try it, that might not feel safe. Okay. So I don't think it's that you will have moved into strategy too much. And again, it's understanding the kind of difference for clients. If you were automatically, let's say you were talking to her about where she wants to be in 6 months' time and already plotting for a promotion or a new job or some of that stuff, that might be moving to strategy too quickly.
Okay.
If it's session 2 and she's saying to you, can you help me with more rest? Help her with more rest. But I think it's understanding that at first that might feel unsafe. And we also, I suppose, need to be communicating to our clients, because when we're in that, right, 25,000 miles an hour, we've been moving. I say stop. What does that look like? What does that feel like, right? And even now, if you said to me, Kelly, just stop, I still do not know, 13 years after my first burnout, I still cannot tell you how to stop. I still can't, like, I still couldn't tell you what that would, but I can tell you the things that I can do that allow me to feel calm. And again, there is a difference between do nothing rest and restorative things that allow our brain and our body and our nervous system to calm and be restorative. Does that make sense? And lots of people, again, particularly if we try to intellectualize it, for lots of people, rest means do nothing. Whereas actually, I am at my most calm, for example, on my yoga mat, when I'm out in the garden, when I'm walking around a lake, when I'm sat reading a book, when I am decorating the house, right? I think I've mentioned to all of you before, right? I can lose myself for hours when I'm decorating and painting and doing that kind of stuff. For me, that is restorative. For my mum, if you said to her, you need to go and decorate your living room, she'd have a mad panic attack, like literally mad panic attack. For my mum, that would not be restorative. But for her, actually, like knitting, crocheting, taking some of, her old ladies out for lunch, that would be restorative for my mum. That for me would be hell on earth. Right? So again, it's understanding what restorative looks like for different people. Because again, there's no one size fits all. But the way I would describe it to people, when I'm talking restorative, I mean the stuff that you could literally lose yourself in for hours and it might feel like it's only been 10 minutes.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So for me, that could, all of the stuff that I've mentioned. But when I say restorative, that's what I mean. It is the stuff, because what's happening in that, right? If we've been doing it for hours and it only feels like 10 minutes, our brain has been in such kind of a nice flow state. It's been so calm. Our brain has just been able to, calm and switch off. It's calmed our nervous system. It's done all of that stuff, right? We've just been in it. It's that kind of moment of flow. That's really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So we can start to question, what does restorative look like for you? The time where you can just lose yourself.
Yeah. I think the reason why she brought that up was because she's got sleeping issues, like major sleeping issues, and she'll go to bed like at 2, 3, and then she's up at 6, and then she's up in the morning, and then she crashes out about later on.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons, and I went with it because obviously I understand how important sleep is, and if she could. If she wanted to shift that, then we could, because she was going to do it outside of the session, but I know that wouldn't have happened. So I said, would you like to focus on that? And she said, yes. So we then looked at that as a way to kind of bring back her, is it whatever rhythm it's called, circadian rhythm back.
Circadian rhythm,
to support her with that. So
yeah, brilliant. And again, even that, right, trying to get back into rhythm, circadian rhythm, sleep, and again, there's lots of things that are dependent on that, obviously, like weather, temperature, what else you've been doing throughout the course of the day. Again, I would say to anybody, when it comes to kind of improving sleep, I genuinely say we almost have to treat it as though we were about to go and run a marathon, right? If I said to you now, go and run a marathon, some of us might be like, just looking at me like I've completely lost the plot. Some of us might be like, okay, what route do I need to take? What do I need to do with it? Where do I need to go? Actually, I can't run a marathon today, but give me 6 months, and with the right training plan and with the right support and with the right coach and the right this and the right that and the right that, then I might be able to do it. and some of us might be able to just put a pair of trainers on and go and do it, right? I genuinely think that improving our sleep, we need to treat it as though we are running a marathon, right? We can't just get into bed and expect ourselves to sleep. We need the preparation beforehand. So again, what we do, right, what I do today is going to impact the sleep that I have tonight. It's going to impact how I wake up tomorrow morning. But what I do today, pretty much that needs to start from the minute that I wake up this morning. Yeah. And then every single thing that I do throughout the course of today is what's going to improve my sleep tonight that will allow me to feel better tomorrow morning. It's not just I get to 10 o'clock tonight and I go, right now I want a really good night's sleep. If I've been living on, I don't know, sugar and caffeine and not exercising and scrolling on my phone all day today and like just doing stuff that is keeping me completely wired and unable to focus, all that sort of stuff, there's no way I'm going to get into bed tonight and have the best night's sleep ever. Yeah, so it's everything that we're doing throughout the course of today that's going to allow us to have a better sleep tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Sean?
No, that was it really.
Okay, so that was the coaching. The NHS stuff, I had an anecdote that I was going to say, yes. So you're absolutely right in terms of the presenteeism and what's going to happen. So even we have a cleaner. She'd started with my mum, and she said to my mum, I haven't got enough cleaning business at the moment, but I've been offered a job at a hospital. And so she had a cleaning job at the hospital. She lasted for 6 weeks at the hospital, and 3 of those weeks she was admitted to hospital herself, because the 3 weeks that she was in the hospital, particularly on the ward that she was working on, and the amount of pressure that was put on her, she became so ill that she picked up something in the hospital and ended up spending 3 weeks in hospital herself. And she's like, I'm not doing it. That's somebody that had been in there for 3 weeks as a cleaner, not as a nurse, not as a doctor, as a cleaner. Now she's like, there's absolutely no way that I'm doing it. If they're serious about cutting the sick pay, we all know they need to be changing the leadership, the management, the strategy, how they talk to people, the holidays, the rest time, the learning, the development, the fact that, I still coach NHS consultants who still can't get scrubs when they walk into work, still don't have their own locker, still don't have a break time, still don't have access to a computer, and are going in on their days off to type up their notes so that they can get the letters out to seriously ill patients that need going on to other stuff. None of that is going to get fixed by let's decrease pay in the NHS, and we both know it. So I think, Sian, if you focus on NHS, you'll be a millionaire by Christmas.
I plan now. That's my plan. Because I have been looking at putting some content together, and it kind of just made me think that we've got these numpties, right? We've got these, sorry, no offense, David, but we've got these male numpty politicians sitting there making decisions about care and the responsibilities that most women carry, not just at work. And if you look at the workforce, what they're made up of, women, etc. There's a particular age group. And then you've got new kind of mums coming in, the pressures of mums. Because I was looking at a group called Mum Matters, or an organization that I'd seen online about the pressures that now are on mothers, and in Europe what the burnout rate is, etc. I don't know how this all came. And then when you look at the carers report, how many people are suffering. So women naturally are caring. We're thrown into those roles. And are we doing it at home? We're doing it at work. And you've got these men who are intellectualizing and trying to make cutbacks, etc. But they have no idea what we women carry into the workspace and at home. And it's just so shocking that these men are allowed to make these decisions. But they're not actually, it's about being curious, but they're not even asking the right types of questions.
No, and they genuinely don't care, Sian. And again, I think sadly, lots of the decision makers that are out there doing this stuff. There was an article that I read yesterday, even about the HS2 line and like how much that's costing. But the fact actually that even that line is not even going to go into London. It stops outside of London, and it's going to take it takes 6 minutes longer to do that track, and you have to have something like a 20-minute detour to get to the line anyway to do what it was needed to do. And it was absolutely ridiculous, and how much this had cost. That was allowed to happen because of career politicians that had gone in, made a decision, wanted to look good. Sadly, the same is happening with the NHS. The work that you can do is what is going to make the difference.
Yeah.
The consultants that I work with, and have been working with some of them for 5 or 6 years on and off, right? I started working with some of them in COVID, and I've continued to kind of do stuff with them. I've done some stuff with, some of their teams and all that sort of stuff. Some of them are doing incredible projects that are going to make the difference for the wider NHS, but a lot of those are still doing it in isolation. And again, I think we've just got it. You know what needs to change, and I think you just need to focus on what it is that needs changing. And I think on the back of that, again, you started it by saying it was this kind of doula session. It all comes down to safety. A lot of the people that are making the decisions in the NHS are doing so because they feel unsafe, either for their own jobs or for budgets or for whatever else. They're not doing it for the good of the people. What I want you to consider, though, this may be a reflection for you. You will not be able to fix the NHS.
Yes, yeah.
You will not be able to fix the leadership of the NHS. You will only be able, and you won't even really be, you're not even going to be able to fix the clients that come to you for coaching. All you can do is hold the space, create the workshops, and do the bit that you wanted to do. And again, I think for all of you, I know when I hit that first burnout, and again, between burnout 1 and burnout 2 for me, I was absolutely convinced, because my replacement had died, I was convinced that I needed to be the one that was going to, stop burnout in HR for every single person, because nobody else was going to do it. And all I saw was it getting worse. So I took that on as that's my fault. It's my fault that burnout's growing in the NHS, in HR. Wasn't my fault at all. And I'm never going to fix burnout in HR, particularly not because I don't work with HR anymore, as Michelle knows. But a lot of that was because I could not continue to put myself on the line and say, this is what you need, when they weren't interested in the help or support. That had to be a really big shift for me. We can only take people so far. You know the work that you're capable of, you know the spaces that you're capable of, you know that what you're able to do with your coaching. That's the bit I want you to focus on.
Yeah, and I think, and I think even you at the doula session, I caught myself saying, oh, I might, offer this lady a free coaching session. I thought, actually, no, Sean, this isn't for me to deal with. This is whoever, Kathy, the lady, for her to pick up, and it's for her stuff. I can only give my kind of insights.
Yeah.
That session that we had about, is it self-management or something that really kicked in? And it's like, I can see things integrating in myself that perhaps wouldn't have done before. And I was so proud, actually, you know what? Not my, was it not my circus, not my monkey, or something like that? And I just,
yes. Isn't that amazing when you get to that point, Sean, and you think this is not mine to fix? Isn't that magical?
Yeah.
Good for you. Thank you. Just keep focused on your safe spaces.
Yeah.
And you'll sort it. Okay. Right, Meg, I've seen 2 questions for you. I don't know if you've got anything else. So, recently you have seen therapists, community members saying that life coaching is a joke or pointless. How would you advise responding? I think there is a different, and Eve, I still see lots of people saying it with life coaching. I think what they mean by that is people that call themselves specific life coaches. We are not life coaches. I'm training you to be master burnout coaches. Sarah, I know you've done an exec coaching qualification. Michelle, I think you've done exec stuff as well, haven't you? I've done exec stuff. I have done transformational coaching. I've done lots and lots of different things. I think when people say life coaching is woolly, it is usually as a result of people that are just like, I'm a life coach, but there's no qualifications, there's no experience, there's no anything. You're not a life coach. And for lots of people still think life coaches are woolly. I think that's for kind of life coaches to defend. But you're not a life coach. So I would let that one go, Meg, I think is one. Group coaching, is this possible with burnout, or would it be more of a burnout awareness session? Coaching as a group, I am qualified as a group and team coach. I would never do group or team coaching for burnout for exactly the same things that you said. Even if I were to coach all of you as a group session on burnout today, all of you have had different experiences with burnout. All of you were at different stages coming through the other side of it. If I were to try and do that coaching, even knowing all of you, it wouldn't be an effective session for all of you around burnout. But group and team coaching can be very, very effective when we get it right. If it's about goals, if it's about strategy, if it's about moving people forward, if it's about team dynamics, if it's about understanding people, any of that sort of stuff, group and team coaching can be absolutely amazing. But there's absolutely no way that I would do it for burnout. If it is a group or a team that we want to do stuff with, it is an awareness session of some sort, be it an hour, half day, full day. But group and team stuff, if I wouldn't get anywhere near that with burnout, I'd always keep that one-to-one, keep that separate. That's not to say, and I know some people do this, that's not to say you couldn't do a group coaching program. My question for that would be, though, and my pushback would be, would you allow that to be client-led rather than program-led? I know there are people out there doing group programs for burnout, but again, for me, that's program-led, not client-led.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay.
I was just as you were saying there's a word that I can't think of the word and it keeps popping up with a lot of stuff that I'm trying to write out. And it's things like, for instance, I know I need to get a desk for my room because don't feel like I don't feel like it's good to be doing a coaching session sat on my bed and I can't coach. It doesn't feel professional, but also just in a sense of I feel a bit like we come to the session grounded to make sure we're able to hold space. I don't feel like it's a blank word. And I don't know what that word is. And it's things like I don't want to do it from my kitchen counter because I have housemates. And so it doesn't feel like, again, that word. I don't know what it would be. Yeah, just that I'm trying to think of what the right word is, but in terms of like it wouldn't feel ethical, it wouldn't feel correct to do that. A bit like you just said with the group coaching. I've got a workshop in July time, and I want to try and make sure there's some kind of disclaimer that this isn't about trying to help them recover. It's just about awareness.
Yeah, and caveating that at the end of the session again, when on the 2-day training that I run, for example, the 2-day, I make it very, very clear in the materials, like it's on the website, it's at the point that people book, it's in the emails and everything that they get. But I will also say when they come to that session, like you are not going to leave this session as an expert in burnout, right? You've got 2 days with me. This is what we're going to do on day 1. This is what we're going to do on day 2. Like you're not leaving as an expert in burnout. I make it very clear in every awareness session. I've got quite a few coming up over the next few months, kind of from an hour, again to kind of, I think I've got one kind of half day one. It is awareness. If there are questions or anything at the end, again, it's signposting. But depending on, is it an open session that you're running or is it a session that you're doing for an organisation or something?
It's at like a design festival, so it's a workshop that people will come to during.
Okay, so in which case I would make it even more specific that this is just about awareness, right? If there's anything else that you want afterwards, like here's my website, here's my details, this is how you can get in touch or work with me or whatever. But today is just about awareness.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if someone was to say to you, what is awareness? Because I'm not sure if you saw from some of the feedback, but the feedback I've had so far with doing the awareness sessions is even though they felt like what I had said, the expectations I gave from the session was awareness, they still felt like they wanted tools or they wanted, next steps. And it's frustrating because that's not what awareness sessions are. And I don't know if I just didn't explain what awareness was well enough?
Yeah,
Or
so again, I think there are some things that you can do. So depending on the session, so let's say if I'm running, I don't know, I think what people probably are asking for is they want, like, people want to leave a session with an outcome,
Mm,
right? People want to leave every single session with an outcome. So if you're kind of just marketing it or pitching it or kind of doing whatever, as I'm going to tell you what burnout is, what's the outcome that they will leave with, right? So what will me knowing this stuff help me to do differently? And maybe for some people, actually, what they need, maybe it is tools that they're after, maybe it's not. If it is tools, that's another session, right? That might be a longer session, that might be whatever. Or it might be one takeaway that you give them.
mhm.
But be really clear in each of the things what it is that you're doing. So if I were to run a masterclass this afternoon, for example, right, I'm going to go live on wherever, and I'm going to say this is a 90-minute masterclass where I'm going to talk to you about burnout awareness. And by the end of the session, you will have, I don't know, 3 reflections or 3 questions or 3 tools or 3 strategies or 3 something that will help you to coach better, or to know if you are coaching burnout safely, or to know if you should be referring burnout or whatever, right? People want to leave with something tangible for them to know that it's been the right session for them. If it's just awareness, they're going to leave with understanding the difference between what burnout is and isn't, and maybe like how to use the stress scale for their to their advantage, as an example, right? So that's the takeaways. If they want tools, that's the next session, or that's come and coach with me one-to-one, or that's to do something. But again, I think it's like, what do they want the tools for? An awareness session isn't necessarily the answers. It can be. You might give them one answer to one question, but you're not going to give them everything that they need in one session.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Is that okay with everybody? 4 questions.
Mhm.
I'm going to suggest then that we break now for 15 and then come back, and then I get you into the breakout sessions. Does that work for everybody? Yeah? Okay. Right, so we'll break now. I will see you in 15. We'll come back here at 1:15. I'll see you in a bit. Hi, David. Hi, Sarah. You okay?
Yes.
I struggle with this screen. Hey, Michelle. I struggle with, because I never know where I'm looking. It's such a big screen. So apologies if my eyes look like I'm on over. I did say to you as well, didn't I? There was a book that I caught sight of this morning that I didn't show you. Now, I will say, I did read this whilst I was on is that the one, Jessica McGuire? That is the one, David. Yes, but it's lit. We've got a different colour. Ours is brighter. It's a prettier one, isn't it?
Yours, yeah, yours.
This looks thicker as well. Is yours a thin one?
340 pages.
Oh, okay. Yeah, same. Then that's the one. Yes. This book, now, as I said, I will say I did read it whilst floating on top of a boat in the Norfolk Broads in the sun, but this is one of the best books that I have read. Jessica McGuire, Nervous System Reset. It's one of the nicest books that I have read around the nervous system and how to start to calm it, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, I caught it just as we were breathing, so I thought I would share that one with you. It's next to the book that says How to Kill Men and Get Away with It, but I won't share
I need that one.
Me too.
Next to that one.
Yeah, but this is because this is my orange room, so this is my orange books,
Oh my God.
which obviously has no bearing on anything, but there's a lot of yoga books in here. There's a lot of psychology books in here. There is the Matthew Walker Why We Sleep book. Have you all read that one? No?
No.
So this one, Matthew Walker Why We Sleep, is also a good one.
Mm.
If you want to know why we do what happens with it. So I've got lots of yoga ones in here. What else can I? Rest is resistance. I think I've gone through that one with you before, have I? Yeah.
I've heard of that one from you, yeah.
So rest is resistance is a very, very good one. If you're not familiar with her, Tricia Hersey is quite literally founder of the NAP ministry.
That's a job I could definitely do.
Seriously, she's founder of the NAP ministry. You can give her a follow on LinkedIn. She does some awesome stuff. What else have I got on here? I've got my wintering book. You done wintering, everybody?
I think you've sent me wintering. Oh, maybe I haven't.
Wintering's also a good one.
Did you say it's Tricia Horsey?
Hersey, Hersey.
Thank you. That'd be why I couldn't find her.
What else have I got on here that you might like? I have got, I will say, this one is almost like an idiot's guide to mindfulness. That's a very good one. Just if any of you like to do it. And then I've got lots of, David's probably got more, but I have got lots of kind of breathing books. So I've got like basic ones. Lots of my orange ones are kind of pranayama yoga reading books. But I've then got white breathing books, which are Breath by James Nestor. Have you got that one? David likes that one. So I've got Breath by James Nestor. This one is quite, you can see the tabs of this one that I've done so many workshops in this one. I've got Mindfulness for Busy People. My Zoom is moving. Dan Brulé. I trained with him. Michelle, he's who trained me to do my holotropic breath work.
Ah,
So
I love that session.
I've then got, I don't know why I'm showing all this, I just felt the nature of it. I've got the breathing book by Donna Farey. And then this one's quite cool as well. Dopamine Nation. Why we're like all constantly addicted to stress and stuff. This one's also pretty cool, which is Stolen Focus. Why none of us can pay attention. They're very good. I will stop now because that's not what I thought I'd do. I just obviously I'm going to go into. There's some of my white, and I realise I've got.
You need the blue one.
Well, it's kind of, it is a blue book, but it's got a white one. There we go. The Breathing Cure.
Oh, I like that one.
I think that's a white one for us. I think that might be a darker blue in the UK, and I think that's over in my office.
Okay. I got from him this one, so I don't know if there's another one too.
I think sometimes they're just different colours, aren't they? It's like every single one of Brené Brown's books is a different colour, depending on what country you buy it from.
Oh, that's quite cool.
So there we go. Right. Enough of book recommendations. What are we talking about? Right, we're talking about reviewing. So reviewing strategies. So I think probably with where we are in terms of time, do I still want to do it as 2 sessions, or shall we do it as... Maybe I'll just put you in one mammoth breakout room and you can answer lots of questions. There we go. Michelle's like, yes, do that. Okay, right. So tracking and basically tracking and reviewing progress. Okay. Now, again, we've talked about some of this. I'm not going to give you a huge amount. I want you now, particularly now you've started to do some of your coaching and we've started to look at some of the other stuff. So I just want you to now start to think about how you would review progress with your clients and how you would continue to move the client forward whilst ensuring that we stay in client-led coaching. I suppose this comes on to your question from the beginning, Sarah, right? How do we ensure it's client-led, but still keep people moving in the right direction? Okay. So when it comes to all of this stuff, as I said, the things that I want you to keep kind of top of mind with all of this is the burnout equation. So toxicity minus sense of self equals burnout. How are we removing the toxicity whilst rebuilding the sense of self? How might the neuroscience of burnout come into play as part of this review? So maybe, maybe they started with a full bucket and now they haven't got a full bucket. So what might we be kind of reviewing from that perspective? What might their body and brain and nervous system be doing differently as we review some of our progress and move people forward? So again, it might be first session, maybe they come in shoulders like earrings and they are literally talking at 10,000 miles an hour. But maybe halfway through the coaching or at the end of the coaching, they can now breathe in between sessions. Maybe they're sat back a bit in the chair a bit more instead of almost like feeling like they're jumping through the screen. Maybe something has changed from that. So again, what might the body, the brain and the nervous system be telling you in session? And then obviously we want to keep absolute front of mind for all of the work that we do. We want to keep paying attention to the 4 S's, okay? So the state, the safety, the self and the strategy. So when it comes to kind of tracking and reviewing and just kind of reviewing the progress, and you might do this at the start of every session anyway. So I'll give you some questions to work through for the remainder of today's session in a bit. But when we start with kind of tracking progress, really what we want to be doing, reviewing progress rather, we really want to be starting with some wins. Now, maybe you want to start every session with a win. Maybe you want to start like a kind of midway review point with a win, or maybe if you're kind of final session and you want to be talking about the progress that has been made throughout that, then you might be kind of celebrating or starting with some of the wins there. Now, when we think about reviewing, we might review, as I've just said there, I'm going around the houses today, but you might start reviewing throughout each session. So let's say you've got a 60-minute session. And again, some of you do this in terms of time, like we've got 10 minutes left. But you might actually even introduce like an additional review halfway through a session, right? We're halfway through now. Does it feel like we're on track? Does it feel like you are where we need to be? Now, I don't want you to get too specific on, we are 30 minutes in and therefore I must be timing the session. I must be telling you that we're doing a review and this is what we're doing. But if it gets to a natural point, we're 20 minutes in, with half an hour in, we're 40 minutes in, we're 45 minutes in. How does this feel? What's going on? Where do you want to be? So you could do a kind of check-in throughout each session. If it were, for example, a 6-month coaching engagement, you might want a bit of a review kind of at the kind of, midway point. So 3 months in, we're halfway through. Let's celebrate some wins. Let's do some progress. Let's talk about what that might look like. And then you might wait again and you might do another review kind of at the end of the session in terms of how that goes. Okay. Can you hear my dog trying to get into this room? Okay. Now, there is a framework that talks about the 4 F's of active reviewing. I know how much you love all of the words, Michelle, to have exactly the same letter to them. So there is a 4 F's to go with your 4 S's, if you like them, that is about active reviewing. And they are facts, feelings, findings, and future. So it says in order, this is from the University of Edinburgh, they say that the best way to evaluate progress, to be able to kind of consider reviews, are facts, feelings, findings, and future. So again, from our perspective, when we're talking about that, a lot of what, I say a lot of it, again, it's going to vary client to client, but potentially for a lot of our clients, they might be talking more about feelings, right? Sean's client that she mentioned earlier, right? She might be talking about the fact that she's feeling less tired. right? So a fact might be, I'm now sleeping better, right? Fact. The feeling might be, I'm now feeling less tired, or if she's only just started to improve her sleep, she might actually start to feel more tired, but she is sleeping better as a result of it. So we've got the fact is, I'm now, I'm getting more sleep. The feeling is, I am now feeling more energized, more tired, less tired, more calm, more confident, whatever that might look like. The findings really are then kind of, as a result of this, I'm finding that I'm less irritable. I'm finding that I'm more focused. I'm finding that I can do cartwheels across the living room, right? Whatever it is that they kind of want. But then also they might kind of start to talk about future. So again, like if I can continue to improve my sleep like this, I think a month from now, I might be feeling better. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be focusing on those 4 things when we kind of do any review with anybody, but we might find that actually they're just the way in which some of our clients are talking about things. So if they start to use any of those 4 Fs, the facts are this, the feelings are this, I'm finding that, and I'm now looking forward to the future, or I'm more worried about the future, or whatever that might look like, that really in itself could be the start of a review that we could start to have with somebody. What I want us to be able to do though is then to obviously map it back to the 4 S's. So if somebody is feeling better, I am now sleeping better, could we maybe now start to do a bit more work on self? Could we start to now maybe do a bit more work on strategy? Okay, so that's that part of it. I've got some questions then that I want you to consider with that, but let's, as I said, let's put all of this together, okay? So in terms then of moving clients forward, so we've got the review, and obviously from that perspective, we can use that to start to move our clients forward, and we can play some of that stuff back, right? I'm really great that you said you're now sleeping better. It's great to hear that you're feeling better. It's great to hear that you're finding that you're less irritable, less snappy, more focused, all of that kind of stuff. How could we then use that to move you forward? How could you use that to allow you to continue to feel safe? How could you use that to start to, understand yourself a bit more? Right, so we can start, but we want to keep it client-led. So based on now what you know, how can we use that to move you forwards more? Okay, now one way, I'm going to cringe as I say this one, but some of you might quite like this one. Apparently, the best way in coaching to move our clients forward is with smart goal setting. I got the middle finger from Michelle. Sarah rolled her eyes. I knew that would be, that's why I said, right, I'm going to cringe as I say it. But apparently, I'm giving you, obviously, some standard coaching tools here as well, everybody. But apparently, smart goal setting is one of the ways that you